The rain tapped against the cracked window of a small, dimly lit room. Inside, a little girl sat at an old wooden table, her thin fingers tracing the edge of a chipped plate. On the plate was a small portion of plain rice, cold, hard, and unappetizing. Her lips trembled as she picked at it with a bent spoon. She whispered softly to herself, her voice breaking between sobs. "I can't eat this anymore. I just can't." Tears rolled down her cheeks, dropping onto the rice like tiny raindrops. Her frail body shook, not just from hunger but from exhaustion of living a life that seemed to offer nothing but struggle. The girl's name was Lily. She was only 9 years old, but life had forced her to grow up far too soon. Since her father had passed away in an accident, and her mother fell ill, Lily had become both caretaker and provider in a household that was crumbling under poverty. For months, she had been eating little more than rice and scraps. She longed for the taste of something warm, nourishing, and different. More than food, she longed for a childhood where laughter wasn't drowned by hunger, and where hope wasn't crushed by despair. That night, as she sat in silence with her mother coughing weakly in the background, Lily felt something inside her break. She pushed the plate away, murmuring once again through her tears, "I can't eat this anymore." Just then, the door creaked open. A tall man stepped inside, his expensive coat dripping rainwater onto the floor. He looked out of place in this broken home. His polished shoes and perfectly styled hair contrasted sharply with the peeling wallpaper and bare floorboards. He was a millionaire businessman named James, a man whose face often appeared in newspapers and television for his success in building empires. Lily's eyes widened with fear. She didn't know who he was or why he had entered. James took a long look at the scene before him. The coughing mother lying on a thin mattress, the little girl with tears staining her cheeks, and the uneaten rice that spoke louder than words about their suffering. He walked closer, his voice deep but surprisingly gentle. "You said you can't eat this anymore," he murmured, kneeling to Lily's eye level. "Then don't. Because from today, you won't have to." Lily blinked, confused. She had heard promises before from strangers who never returned. But there was something about this man, his steady gaze, his tone, that felt different. The challenge of trust. The next day, James returned with bags of groceries, bread, milk, fruits, vegetables, and even treats that Lily had only ever seen through store windows. But Lily didn't touch them at first. She stared at the food, then at James, her small voice trembling. The next day, James returned with bags of groceries, bread, milk, fruits, vegetables, and even treats that Lily had only ever seen through store windows, but Lily didn't touch them at first. She stared at the food, then at James, her small voice tremble. "Why are you helping us? Everyone else, they just walk past." James paused. The truth was heavy in his heart. He hadn't always been a kind man. His wealth was built on ambition, not compassion. For years, he had been consumed by making money, often ignoring the human stories around him. But a recent tragedy, losing his own daughter in a car accident, had shattered him. He never got to say goodbye. He never got to hold her again. And when he saw Lily sitting there in hunger and despair, it was like seeing a shadow of the daughter he had lost. "Because," he finally whispered, "I once had a little girl too. And I wasn't there when she needed me most. I can't change the past, but maybe I can change your future." Lily's heart softened, though trust didn't come overnight. She still worried he might disappear. The struggle of poverty. Over the weeks, James didn't just bring food. He brought doctors for Lily's mother, clothes for Lily, and even paid the overdue rent to keep them from being evicted. But poverty wasn't just about empty plates. It was about years of being invisible, being dismissed, and being told you didn't matter. Lily's mother felt shame accepting help. "We can't repay you," she told James one evening. "You don't need to," he replied. "Sometimes kindness isn't a loan. It's a gift." Still, the family battled setbacks. Lily's mother's illness was serious, and there were days when hope seemed to vanish. James spent nights at the hospital, holding Lily's hand while she cried, assuring her that everything possible was being done. The transformation. Slowly, things began to change. With proper treatment, Lily's mother regained strength. Lily herself began to smile more, her cheeks no longer pale with hunger. But James gave them more than material help, he gave them dignity. He encouraged Lily to study, gifting her books and enrolling her in school. He spent evenings teaching her things his daughter once loved, like painting, writing stories, and even planting flowers in small pots outside their window. One day, Lily looked up at him and asked, "Why do you always believe in me?" James smiled faintly. "Because I never want you to say I can't again." "You can, Lily. You can do anything." The roadblocks. Even as life improved, James faced criticism from people in his wealthy circle. They whispered that he was wasting time and money on strangers. Some even accused him of trying to fill a void he could never heal. But James didn't waver. He had realized that true wealth wasn't in bank accounts, it was in the lives you touched, the hope you restored, and the love you gave. The resolution. Years passed. Lily grew into a bright, confident young woman. She excelled in school, driven by the memory of her darkest nights and the kindness that saved her. Her mother lived long enough to see her daughter graduate, something she once thought impossible. And James? He found healing, too. Though he never stopped mourning his dog.